So let's get on with the session. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, so I'll just get into this. I'm just going to go back and share the screen. But before I do that, today's session, and I think Lewis, I don't think he's on the call today, but Lewis and a few other players asked last week if we could look at a player that is able to dribble in tight areas and is more of a sort of attacking midfielder who likes to create opportunities, score goals, and do things in the front third or inside the box. And then we sort of progressed and we thought, well, why don't we look at Messi, because he's, probably the best example in the world. So there's two videos that I gave to our Elite Select players, and for the purpose of everyone that's on the call that isn't aware, at the start of each week, I will give all of our members in the webinar a video or two to watch. We expect that you take some notes. We do a bit of a Q&A here, but I kind of explain what we're looking at. So this week, there were 4 areas that I wanted you to focus on. And when you watch these videos, and there were 2 different videos. So one was sort of what Messi does without the ball and how he creates space. And remember, Messi is the kind of player that, as you know, he's heavily marked. He's well known. At times he's got 2 or 3 defenders around him. And this video hopefully showed you how he actually creates that minute second or millisecond of space in order to receive the ball and start attacking players. So one part of the video was how to create space. The other part was what he does when he's dribbling. So 4 things that make Messi different, or any really sharp, good attacking player. I know we spoke about Isco as well being a similar player. I think there's quite a lot of players. Hazard is probably another good example of a modern midfielder, number 10, who likes to dribble close to feet. These guys have an extreme change of pace. They also know how to slow the game down, or they know how to speed things up. That pace also moves into what I call directional speed. So the ability for them to go left to right so rapidly makes the difference. They're very, very, very well balanced. So it means a strong core, strong legs. And that comes with also the gym things that we do with Tao at Project Fitness for the players that are doing that. These guys aren't afraid to play in tight areas. Now, I know throughout my career as well, there's a lot of coaches that don't like you to play in tight areas. I can understand that, because you're more likely to lose possession in those spaces. But this is what differentiates Messi, Hazard, Isco, the top level players from average players, is their ability to keep the ball in these tight areas. So that's what you see. They're all fighters. They're all winners. And this is something that makes them very, very different. The other thing is their ability to read play. So what do I mean by that? And we spoke about this the other week, but they have this sense of being able to read football in general 2 to 3 steps beyond anyone else. So Messi will know when to dribble. He knows where to move to receive a ball. He also knows when to play a through ball, and he sees things that other players don't see. So that's something that is very, very crucial to being a very good number 10, which is what I like to call it, or a modern day attacking midfielder. So just before I get into the video part and Messi, just in case no one knew, these are some of the stats from last year's La Liga campaign for Messi. He scored 32 goals. He had 12 assists. He had 187 shots. He created 82 chances on goal. He executed 1,484 passes in the opposition's half, so in the attacking half. He took 269 dribbles, and he had 282 touches inside the opposition's 18-yard box. So just in case you're interested, happy to share those with you guys. But that's really some statistics that you can look at your own game and think back to this season. And if you're an attacking player, how many chances did you create? How many shots did you have? How many goals did you score? How many assists did you do? How many dribbles do you think you did? They're really, really good things. And the other one, if you're a number 10 or a striker, how many touches have you taken in the opposition's box this season? Now, Messi's 282. So try and think back to your own game this season and try and match your statistics with that. Obviously, this is, one of the best attacking players in the world, if not the best. So good benchmark. So I'll just share the first part of what I want to here. So going through this, we're going to start with this video is the one where we look at how Messi creates space. So we'll start with that. So I don't want you to think about what he's doing on the ball. This is more so off the ball. So with his first one, what I'm looking at here and what this video does well is it shows you that what Messi likes to do, and you'll see this trend in not just this video, but if you watch him play, Messi is very good at finding space between the defensive line and the midfield line. So he knows where to find gaps in this hole. This hole is very, very dangerous area to be in for a defender, because if you're a centre-back or you are a midfielder, you're not sure if you're a 6, do I drop onto Messi? If you're a defender, do I stay on him or do I need to drop back? This is a very, very awkward area for defenders and midfielders to mark. So what happens is Messi normally will start on a shoulder of a player, whether he's playing wide, whether he's playing in here. I think this is Ramos for this case. I know we looked at Ramos recently. But what you see with Messi a lot of the time is his starting position will be either in line or next to a defender, and then he'll fend off. So it seems quite simple, but this all happens very, very rapidly. And this allows him, when defenders are making a move, to drop off and receive a ball where there's space. So you see here, he was on a shoulder. The defenders dropped back, not knowing where this ball was going to be played. Were they going to play a long ball through? Was Messi going to make a run through? He opted to create space here, and he finds himself in this nice area where he can pick up the ball between the midfield line and the attacking line. So what we were talking about in terms of when we go to the next video and when he likes to dribble players, he always finds himself in a very, very threatening position. Now, this is, mind you, this is at the halfway line, but he does it a lot in the front third as well. So just thinking, going back to the first image, think about if you're an attacking player, your starting position. Try and start in nice and close to defenders and making a move off. So when you're working on also passing drills with Chris, that's the reason that we get you to come off the cone or come off the pole. There's a reason for that. You want to find the right time to come off your defender and find yourself in nice space like this. So you have to also appreciate that Messi's the kind of player that everyone knows about, so he's heavily marked. So it doesn't happen often, but when we talk about Messi, he'll also drift, and you'll see that he also likes to have a starting position out wide. So he's quite a unique player. I wouldn't suggest you just sort of roam wherever you want. Definitely take instructions that your coaches have for you. But when we look at Messi, you'll sometimes find him drift out wide and create a starting position out here. But he does the same sort of thing. He tries to get on a shoulder line with the last defender. There's probably another left back here, there's a defender here. Left back is dragged in to mark a striker. Messi will try and float on the shoulder, and rather than just making runs in here and behind where a ball might be played in, he may just drift back into here and pick up the ball, which you see him do a lot. It's not only for balls in behind, but he starts out here where he's outside the view of the defenders. All the defenders are ball watching in here, and he can drift back in. Another example for Messi that you would have seen in the video is not only does he create the space on the shoulder in here or out wide, sometimes he'll start behind a defender. Now, it isn't an offside position, but you would have seen in the video that he anticipates the play so that he knows that possession is going to be kept most likely from the midfield or from the defenders. The ball's going to be moved around. And as he does, the defenders may be pushing on, but they're probably going to drop in, and he's going to be able to find space again in that same area that we've been talking about. So again, he either starts on a shoulder, finds space, he drifts out wide to find space, or why not start behind the line of defenders where they can't see him? He obviously anticipates the play well. He makes sure he's not in an offside position when the ball's played, but that's another way to get away from defenders. So we spoke a few weeks ago also about the importance of anticipation, and we spoke about that in a defensive sense. This is anticipation in the attacking sense. So again, if we look, we've just discussed this, Messi likes to start in the shoulder of a player in a tight area, but anticipating a pass that's coming from, let's say, a defensive midfielder into, I think that's Iniesta in there from last season. But Messi already knows that when this ball's played, he can then make a move into space here and receive a one-touch pass. I don't know, I can't recall from this video if he receives that ball. But again, what I was talking about, Messi being able to read play, the ability to read play, to anticipate, is something that you need to start doing one or two passes before you're going to receive it. So he knows that ball's coming in here. If he then drops into space, it's unlikely the defender's going to follow him. And again, if he can pick the ball up in here with one touch, face forward, he will then start dribbling. So again, finding space to pick up the ball in threatening areas to be able to dribble at people is very, very common for Messi's game. And that's what makes him very, very different. So again, the three things: shoulder, drift out wide, or sit in offside areas behind the line of defenders to find space in this very, very dangerous area, which we call, it's almost one of the most threatening areas between the defenders and the midfielders. No one's sure who to mark or where to mark Messi. So the next image again, you would have seen Messi again in this pocket, looking to receive the ball. The reason I captured this image is for midfielders, or especially attacking midfielders, to look at the importance of this area and this space again. But as a number 10, this is a very, very nice area to pick up a ball. I used to play in that position myself at times, and it's not as easy as Messi makes it look, unfortunately, but these are the areas that you want to look to receive a ball if you can. It's very difficult, and you can ask defenders, it's very difficult when Messi's starting high, coming off into here. If you're a defender, do you go with him? If a defender tracks Messi, let's say it's here or Ramos, I'm not sure. If Ramos goes to Messi, there's a run in behind. So he needs to be cautious. If this defender goes, there's a run in behind. So with this player facing forward, it's very dangerous for these defenders to go to Messi. Now, if I'm a midfielder, do I go here or do I mark Messi? Do I go or do I mark? So this is very, very nice position. If this midfielder goes off to mark Messi, there's a ball into here. And this is how Barcelona play it. As you hear about tiki-taka and triangles, but this is really, and we'll go into that later in another time, but this is a very, very good position. So you can see he's creating a lot of dramas for the defense. And again, with the pace that he has, if you're picking up a ball in here, you want to make sure that you know if there's anyone behind you, because here you want to turn quickly, face forward. If he faces forward here, he's got a through ball in here, he can dribble out, he can play a ball down here. And that's why Barcelona are so threatening when they pick up balls in this area. Again, same thing, just want to show you again that space. If you can draw a line with the midfield along here and then draw a line with the defenders, Messi finds himself in this area. So when you watch games of Barcelona, or if Argentina are playing, it's mostly Barcelona, try to look at this. You'll see some interchange where Messi will come out wide to create some more space, but mainly he's looking to pick up the ball in these areas. Very, very threatening play. Again, just another example. You see, I think it's Ramos here, unsure whether to go. Messi's dropped off too much, but he's probably started in a position quite higher up. But as a central defender, you don't want to get dragged out. You can then see if this defender gets dragged out, you may have Suarez making a run across. You've got this defender not knowing whether to stay out on the left. No one wants, and they're creating a huge gap in here, and that's very dangerous for the opposition. So by Messi making that space again, you're creating space for strikers, or again, Messi will be able to receive the ball and face forward. So with Messi, because he's got quick change of pace. He will receive it. He'll face forward, start dribbling at the defender, look at an option to play out to the right, look at a through ball into Suarez. And that's really, really key. But again, there's always triangles that these guys create. And I don't want to get into that in too much detail now, but that's a very important part of this as well. So also, how do you create space without dropping off? We spoke about being predictable the other week, and this is a good example in an attacking sense to not be predictable. So there are times where the midfield line may be a lot higher. So you can see this channel here is very, very thin, and it's quite hard to just make space in this channel. So rather than just dropping off a defender and trying to pick up a ball in here, it's a bit tight. You may not be able to play it in here. You may not be able to receive the ball. So some good advice in here. If you feel stuck and the channel's thin, try and make runs in behind. Try and make a diagonal. Try and go out wide along the shoulder of the defender. But try and look for these spaces where if your player or your midfielder is facing forward, try to make a run. What you're going to do is drag out defenders. You'll drag the midfield. So if Messi goes here, this defender follows. This then opens space for midfield in here. So it's important to get away from this line as well, and not just try and receive it in these tight areas. If you see that this channel in between the line here is quite compact. Sorry, it moved on. And again, this was actually the second part of his run, but I'll just go back. So Messi makes the run. He doesn't receive the ball in behind. So what does he do? This is, sorry, a different play, but this is just the importance of, if you make these runs, the different movements that Messi makes. So he may go and you see him check again. So that's something that I want a lot of our attacking players and midfielders to do, is don't just make one run in behind and you don't get it. Try to make 2 or 3 runs. You may go, you may check back. Try to create the space any way you can. You have to understand and appreciate that at this high level, you have hardly a second to touch the ball. So defenders are on you. So Messi, if you watch some of his games as well, he does like to go and check off, go or get out of space, go, come back. And that's constantly what you need to be doing. So you need to be extremely fit. You need to be agile. And you need to have that really, really good sense of balance in order to maintain that throughout 90 minutes, and sometimes even longer as well. This is a very, very good example of some of the positioning that I like to see from Messi as well. What I'd start with is talking about these areas that Messi likes to get in on the shoulder of defenders. But this one's very, very smart, because you've got Ramos here who can't see Messi. He probably knows that he's somewhere in behind him. He can't see him. And then Messi's in a nice position in front of this defender. So potentially, if there was a long ball over, he's going to get to it. Or Ramos doesn't know, is Messi going to go or is he going to check off? So again, he's opening the space for himself to receive in this dangerous channel, which is in here. Or if he checks in here and then makes a run, he's in a very, very dangerous position for defenders. They're very uncertain as to what he's going to do. And again, it always comes back to that predictability. And I want you to not be a predictable player. I don't want you to be the player that people think, well, he's just going to receive the ball in behind. He's just waiting for a long ball. You may go, you may come. But if you're a number 10, try to create space for yourself to open up this channel, the dangerous area between that line and the midfield line. Very good example here. Just go to the next one. The other aspect I want you to look at with Messi, which is very interesting as well, is you may see him drift or walk around a little bit, but he does it very well, because when play is congested, so you see in this area, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players in a very, very small area that we can circle here. You'll see that smart midfielders will not be attracted to get involved and get in here and run over and try and tackle or win the ball or play in this area. He'll drift away. And again, that's creating that space in that same area that we've been talking about, which is, okay, the midfielders come back, so we can't see the midfield line. But again, in a very, very dangerous area that if the ball is to come out of here and switch play, we're already in on goal. We can dribble at defenders. We may be able to play one of our strikers in. And what we saw in this play, so this is a couple of seconds afterwards, the ball did eventually come out of this area and Messi's already in a very threatening position. So now you can see defenders 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 players are out of the play. So you've got a potential 1, 2, 3 on, okay, there's a 3-on-2, but if Iniesta creeps in, it could be a 3-on-3 at goal. And that's very, very smart. They've lined themselves up here. You've got a attacking winger making his run down wide. He'll take this guy out. You've got the ball over to Messi and you've just taken out 5 defenders that have all gone over to this area. Going back to that first image, I know a lot of midfielders like to get dragged in and across to play. They like to be involved a lot, which is a great thing. But there's times that you have to be smart and stay out of these areas that are congested, because the ball does eventually come out and you could be 2-on-2, 3-on-3 into space and into attacking positions. So another thing, having a look here at Messi, his starting position, defenders aren't sure whether to come onto him, but he does like to keep a little bit of space. And then let's say, is he going to check off here? Is he going to make a run in behind? What is he looking to do? So this is where he keeps defenders very, very uncertain. He likes to drag them into these areas as well. But again, into this area, a line of defense, midfield, not sure whether to come back and track. I think you've got a midfielder here, a little bit of uncertainty, but finding those little bits of space, which is only a millisecond of time to get away from that defender and pick up the ball in these areas. So he does that very well. So I want you to watch, when you watch Messi play, or you get the chance to watch Barcelona play, have a look at these areas where he tries to get on the shoulder and create a little bit of space to receive a ball and anticipate the play. And as we know, I think this was, let me just check. Yeah, this was 2 seconds later. The defenders still weren't sure whether to come in nice and close. But Messi, the difference with him, as I said at the start, one of the things is the tight area play. He's not afraid to pick up the ball, and his teammates aren't afraid to play him the ball in an area where he has 2 or 3 or 4 defenders on him. But he's very good. And again, the same area that he likes to pick up the ball, he likes to pick it up in a threatening area where he's dragging defenders out to him. Ramos, I'm not sure who that is, maybe Varane, but they're not sure whether to commit themselves. They may like to play, if this is a nice sharp ball into Messi, it could be a quick 1-2 into here to create the space here. The winger might get in behind and the ball might come to Messi and he plays it on out wide and gets into the box. So there's so many options by being in such a threatening position. If Messi was in here closer to defender, it'd be a lot harder, it'd be a lot easier, for the defenders to defend him. So again, try to look for these threatening spaces in the channel behind and in front of defenders. So we move on to, this is the next part of the video, which was more of Messi in play. So what were the things that I wanted you to look at was really the change of pace and the directional speed. So Messi doesn't do things that are too difficult or too out of the ordinary, but he does them so effectively and at such pace that he's the best in the world at it. So here you could see that a lot of the time in the video, Messi would like to face a defender. He dribbles directly at them at pace. He takes them one way and then he'll push the ball away. So he creates his space out on the right by taking them left and then right. So you see that it's very simple, but he does it so well that he makes it look easy. But it's not as easy as it seems. So you see here, I'll go back. He takes him one way and turns. Now it seems quite simple and we do it a lot, but watch how many times Messi does it when he's dribbling at players. And he's just so effective and pulls it off. So here's another image. He knows where he wants to get his space, so he pulls a defender. And these defenders, don't get me wrong, they're playing at top levels in the world and they continually fall for the extreme level of balance that Messi has, and he's able to take players one way and then move the other. So again, same thing. He does the exact same thing in this scenario. He takes someone left. And again, defenders aren't sure, is he going to play Suarez in? And he creates his space for himself here. He knows where the space is, but he takes defenders away and moves on. So this point here is going back, if you think to what I was talking about before, picking up the ball in this dangerous area. You see, Messi's able to pick it up in these areas a lot, but what does he do with it? He actually takes it on the front foot straight away, nice and early. He dribbles at defenders, and he's very, very threatening. So he's able to pick up the ball. You've got midfielders having to track him back. But the difference with Messi is he runs straight at defenders. They're not sure, is he going to go right? Is he going to go left? And he does it with such pace. He gets these defenders wrong-footed. So you can see here, the defender's not really in a great position. And with the pace that Messi has, he's able to take him one way and go the other. He may play a ball in behind. He may play a ball into Suarez here. So unpredictable again. Again, for this one, not being predictable, the reason I put this picture up, again, he's picked it up in this same area that I'm talking about, this channel. Midfielders aren't able to track him. He's already passed this line of 4 defenders. Now, this time, I think he plays Suarez in. I have to go back to the video. But he picks it up nice and early. He's got the option to dribble at defenders or play someone in. So they're the things I want you to think about. We spoke about the other week with Modric. He's more of a typical sort of 6 or 8 midfielder. But when Modric was picking the ball up a little bit deeper, what was I saying? Try to look to go forward or sideways first. Try and switch the play as opposed to going back in these little easy balls. That's what Messi does well. He picks the ball up in the channel and goes forward nice and quickly. It's very positive. In Barcelona, they're always 1 or 2 passes away from a nice cross or a finish on goal. So here I think he plays Suarez in. Actually, sorry, let me go back. He did play Suarez in on this one, but the point of this was as well was to show you that at times what he does to get rid of players and to dribble is actually to play someone in and then move. So Messi, he plays that in and you see him sprint away, and here he is a few seconds later in that play where Suarez played a ball back into him. But what I want you to think of as well, the third aspect in trying to face forward and play a ball really nice and quick is actually move. So play the ball and move. So you got to note that down if you got a piece of paper in front of you. Play the ball, move, play and move, play and move. Keep thinking about it, dream about that, because I don't want you to be static, especially as an attacking player. Play the ball, move. If you're not in space, get out of there. If you can't pick the ball up, move. And that's something that I want you to watch out for when Messi's playing again. So again, this one's a little bit blurred, but the reason for it was I stopped it because in this instance, he hasn't picked it up in the channel. He's come a little bit deeper, which is fine as well. But he's seen and he's spotted. He's actually, I think he's played it through this gap onto the attacking player, onto the winger where they've crossed it. Suarez has gone over the goal and missed here. But if you end up picking it up a little bit deeper, this is the area that when we watch Modric, the video on Modric, more of the area that Modric would pick it up. But Messi's first instinct is to play the ball forward into an attacking area where we can create a chance. He's not playing the easy ball. For a lot of midfielders, they'll just play it out wide. They may turn back and play it back. Yeah, fine, you keep possession. But the difference and what makes Messi different is he is the one that's willing to play these threatening balls. And that's something that I want you guys to try, especially in training. Don't be afraid to take a little bit of a risk, because that will make you a different player. That will make you stand out. Not just playing a nice, simple, easy ball back and sideways. Anyone can do that. And this is what makes Messi different when you watch him. So here, that's just the next frame. So he goes from here, plays a ball straight in. They're onto it. This was Suarez. A ball was played across. Suarez missed. But again, if Messi had have just played the ball back or sideways, Barcelona wouldn't be in off goal. And that's what makes him a different number 10 to everyone else. So the other aspect that you see a lot with Messi is him in these areas where he holds the ball up, he slows the whole play down, and he's on the edge of the box. So this is something that is a very interesting thing. a lot of players like to go at what I call at 100 mile an hour in these areas. So when you're dribbling at the box, you're getting really excited. You want to get into box nice and quickly. You want to take a shot. Messi's very good at picking the ball up here, and you see it a lot. He almost stops the ball, and defenders really don't know what he's going to do. Now, this one he plays onto Iniesta into here, but this is again goes back to the predictability, and you just don't know what he's going to do. So sometimes he may shoot, but he's very, very smart to slow play down at times as well. You see that some defenders and midfielders, they're so predictable because they just, as soon as they're in on goal or in these areas, they get very, very panicked. They lose composure. And, you know, you end up losing the ball because you're just running at 100 mile an hour. But here he's dragged 2 defenders by slowing the ball down, and he's able to play Iniesta in and just a better view. He's dragged two out. You can either play a through ball into there. Iniesta's onto it on his right foot. You can play out wide. There's a ball through into here. There's so many options. So having that ability to be composed and not be predictable, you can actually drag defenders out, which he does really well. So have a think. If you're going to take anything away from this, be positive in your play. Look to play forward. Look for that channel to pick up the ball where you're really confusing defenders. Does a centre back go onto you? Does a midfielder come to you? No one knows where to pick you up in that channel. And then see if you can be composed and unpredictable. If you're going 100 mile an hour, slow the play down, draw defenders to you, and try and play things as you can see here. So that's all from me in terms of Messi this week. I haven't looked at the questions, so I don't know if there's any questions in there. Happy for you guys to put in, but I'll pass back to Maddie now before we end the call for this week.